We're ready.
All right, we're on the air.
On the air.
All right, I will call this meeting to order. This is the September 24, 2025 meeting. Regular meeting of the Glendale-River Hill School District Board of Education. I will take a roll call now. Chris Robinson. Here. Katie Avalos. Here. Karen Cromwell. Here. Danielle Bailey. Here. And Carla Pennington Cross is here. The entire board is present and accounted for. At this time, if you wish, you may stand and join in stating the Pledge of Allegiance for signing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item 1D, agenda approval.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. Item 1E, approval of board meeting minutes.
I have one addition, if, should we move to approve first?
Sure.
Okay. I move to approve the board meeting minutes from September 10th. Second.
All right. And what's the addition, Chris?
Under closed session,
Oh, I added the edited.
oh, did you
version.
add it?
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's
never
not-
mind.
Doc.
Okay,
Diana was more efficient than me.
all right, so the one that we're looking at is the,
One that says edit.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, though, 6B doesn't have a name for who motioned and seconded to reconvene and open.
In the edit one?
right, it says Ms. motion to reconvene.
And it would have been Miss Bailey, seconded by Miss Cronwell.
Okay. So 6B should say Ms. Bailey motion, seconded by Ms. Cronwell.
Yes.
Are they the right one? Did it not save?
Second one, I'm in the one that says edit.
Oh, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
I got that.
That's Ms. motion to reconvene until September.
Okay. We did that in board docs. It probably didn't save it.
Okay. All right, any other edits needed? All right, so there's a motion by Chris Robinson, second by Danielle Bailey, to approve the meeting minutes for September 10, 2025. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. And I have a little grounding for today. Probably a little bit of a call to action growing out of my reflections about Suicide Prevention Month. I've been thinking about that Fox News guy who said that homeless people with mental illness, what did he say? Just kill them. Yep. It makes me literally sick to my stomach. There are a million reasons someone living with mental illness might be homeless. Most obvious is a lack of adequate services and supports. Lack of funding to offer that. I mean, that's a choice legislative bodies make, that people don't choose to be born with mental illness. So from this perspective, for me, the idea that folks deserve to be dead, the challenges they were born with is truly, utterly heinous. And it's a piece with mental health stigma, which permeates every aspect of our culture. But of course, for many young people struggling with depression and anxiety and suicidal ideation, they really don't need someone else to tell them that they deserve to die. They need to hear the opposite, that every human being deserves to have a life of meaning, whether or not they experience mental illness in their lives, whether or not life is hard, whether or not they easily fit in to what our culture asks of people. And when a major news network talking head is teaching folks to dehumanize others for struggling with mental health challenges, I feel that as a school district, we have an obligation to empower the kids we serve to be self-advocates, to find resilience, to thrive and love themselves and each other in an unkind world, and to overcome the hate being broadcast by people like that Fox News guy, whose name I won't say. Mental health stigma is one of the most basic inequities in the. So when we talk about a commitment to equity, I always, in my mind, I call it, like the bottom dwellers of the equity story are those of us who live with mental illness, right, in our families or in ourselves. That stigma, that mental health stigma crosses every other intersection of human identity and experience. Race, gender, LGBTQ identity, income, trauma, ethnicity, national origin, disability, neurodiversity, religious, like everything. And mental health stigma produces disparate impacts, especially among cohorts that are being increasingly marginalized in our world today. So I think about all this, and I think about the fact that suicide remains the second leading cause of death for youth in America. I think about how a significant percentage of American youth, even without suicide, continue to experience really big mental health challenges. And a significant portion of those youth don't have access to professional support. And so when I think about our role here, I'm just reminded this month that public schools are the first line of defense for many, many kids. And what we offer to kids in terms of mental health support really can help prevent some of the harm that arises out of unanswered mental health needs. So what we do is really critical, right? And I know in our district, we've acknowledged how important school-based mental health supports are for many kids. Many of us here at this table have been advocates for that and have participated in a journey that we've seen over the last decade. We understand that a young person struggling with mental illness, which often looks like acting out in a school setting, deserves not punishment and ostracizing, but rather support, validation, hope, so they can access the education we offer meaningfully and with joy. And I know these values are reflected in our strategic plan and our equity non-negotiables, but we have to make sure these words translate into action. So I invite each of us to fight complacency, to continue to intentionally and consciously prioritize the mental health and well-being of our kids in the face of many pressures to put other things first. And I'll say this, I've been advocating around stigma and mental health supports for like 15 years, right? Pretty intentionally. And kids with mental health needs are targeted in a lot of different ways. You guys see that in our schoolhouses: bullying, discipline, tough love, marginalization, criminalization, all that. And self-harm sits on the event horizon for those responses, right? When youth face that, it's just sitting there waiting. And it gets tiresome and depressing as an advocate and exasperating, especially when people turn on each other. So I want to share this kind of grounding idea to inspire our work. I hope it inspires me. I try to take a long view. As a school district, as board members, we don't have to play the short game. We don't have to win every battle. We just have to keep going, and we keep modeling and building institutional practices that ensure acceptance, understanding, mental health resources, resilience. And we have to have confidence that the commitment we make here in our little tiny world of under 1,000 students will eventually create ripples out into the bigger world, right? That well-armed students, armed with resilience and self-love, can make tomorrow better than today is. Smash stigma and reduce the risk of youth suicide and self-harm, which is what Suicide Prevention Month is about. And I found this great. You've probably all heard it, the man in the arena. Do you know this one? FDR, it's a really famous statement. I'll read it here because I think it's important for us to hear this as we, do things that aren't popular right now with some people, as we continue to talk about equity and mental health and inclusion. FDR said this, I'm going to modify it away from the word man. You'll know where I changed it. It is not the critic who counts, not the person who points out how the strong person stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst If they fail, at least fail while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Call to action, keep fighting the good fight for what we believe in. All right, at this time, we're on to item 2A, public comments. Visitors may speak on any non-agenda item at this time if you wish. Anyone online? All right. We have such a beautifully straightforward agenda today. We have no items for discussion under full child growth and success. We're moving on to item 4A, superintendent update.
All right, I don't know if this is working at all or no.
It should be.
Okay. All right, so just wanted to update the board. I recently attended the Association of District Administrators State Superintendent Conference. This included a visit to the Capitol Rotunda to hear Dr. Jill Underly, our state superintendent, deliver the state of education address. She largely focused on the funding challenges that are faced within the state of Wisconsin, as well as the need to uphold, and I think a part that spoke to me, uphold Wisconsin's legacy of being one of the top states in terms of educating students and what that means in terms of our history and our future for students. I also was able to attend several sessions that were put on. A keynote presentation that I went to was with Rain Martin, who is a founder and chief leadership coach. And she talked a lot about sort of thinking about like, how do you get at organizational clarity in your work? I think her role as a coach was really specific because she walked us through a bunch of exercises to start to think about what it means to be present and available in your leadership, but then also be forecasting on who you want to become in leadership and where you want your organization to be. I also attended a leadership development session that was really impactful. That was a fellow superintendent who works in the western part of the state. And she talked a lot about her systems and processes for organizing her administrative team and working with them on sort of cyclical work to continually touch base on continuous improvement and continue to reevaluate how they're doing, how they're working together, and a little bit larger district, but ways in which they engage in professional development with different administrative groups in there together. So like, for example, maybe time with like principals and teaching and learning, and like what does that learning look like, and who else is brought into that as leaders in the district. So just some really good structural pieces, very practical. And then I also attended a special education legal update. So I'm an attorney from Rennie, Lewis and Lacey provided key issues that included extended day services, seclusion and restraint, outside therapies and placements, student discipline, and confidentiality issues that have arisen in recent case law. And so I was able to share that information with Kelly High School at Key and have a conversation with her about our learning in that area. So those were some of the key pieces. I am appreciative of the board's ongoing support of my own development. Just wanted to let you know what I'm doing with that development, how I learned from it.
Thank you, Anna.
Yep.
Is there a presentation with the special ed legal updates?
There is.
You can share?
Yeah, I could share.
I would love to see
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, just curious. I can put it in the board update.
Awesome,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions or comments? Miss Katie, Karen, Danielle? Okay, thanks, Anna. Sounds interesting.
It's good.
All right, moving on to 5A, the 25-26 board resolutions. So I have placed them all in a folder on the Google machine. And I believe you all have had access to them, so we could. I think, so it's the same 13 we discussed last time. I'll just summarize it for viewers. There are 13 resolutions. Do you want me to read them for the record? Can I read the list? Yeah, Black History Month, suicide prevention, Pride LGBTQ. This is not in month order, but these are the ones that we're considering. Native American Heritage, Mental Health Awareness Month, Bullying Prevention Month, Latinx Hispanic Heritage, Jewish American Heritage Month, International Day of Literacy, Educator Appreciation, Developmental Disability Awareness Month, Asian American Pacific Islander, Heritage Month. Actually, what is it called now? Asian American, Hawaiian,
And-
Pacific Islander, right? And then American Education Week. So those are the 13 resolutions which we discussed last time and which I edited per board input to standardize and normalize sort of the format and the language. So, does anyone have a motion they want to make? We could do all 13 or
Yeah. that's
well, whatever you guys want to do.
I move to approve the 25-26 board resolutions.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I would ask that we just read like the month of which they would pertain, that we do read them. That month, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we.
Yeah. Like we could read them at a
Right.
board meeting
Yeah.
in the relevant month.
Right, so then.
Yeah.
Cause I appreciate that we did this, so everybody
Yeah.
can prep for them, but like, give them due diligence that month.
Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, I'm not sure due diligence is reading it word for word. Sometimes like it's a little.
But we could acknowledge it
But
and
some kind
highlight.
of, yeah, I'd love to see like a different board member even like, I don't know, talk about it.
I think it would be okay to just feature.
Yeah, got it, got
Yeah,
it.
to
Okay.
feature it.
Yes,
Yes.
like, just
Right.
feature it.
I love the idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris?
One possibility is to do that in our grounding.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
our groundings could be, yeah. Based on reflective of, yeah, that's a great idea. Anything else? Okay, there is a motion by Chris Robinson, a second by Katie Avalos to approve or to adopt, right? Approve or adopt the 25-26 board resolutions contained in the folder that the agenda links to. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then apropos of Karen's comments, it is late September, so the two resolutions relevant now are the Suicide Prevention Month, which is September resolution, which I refer to in my grounding. I know, like Chris wisely suggested. And the anticipated. And then the second resolution, I think that's relevant right now. No, there are two more. One, International Day of Literacy, which was September 8th, which is focuses on, I think, Chris, you had written that one on the fundamental human right of being able to read. And then Latinx Hispanic Heritage, which is September 15th to October 15th.
So we would still have an opportunity to highlight that
Yeah,
later, right?
yeah. Would you like to lead the grounding then at the next meeting?
That was so well done.
You know me, all right.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna write it down.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you, Chris. I swear it was not an accident, start on next, it just, it was an inspiration.
You can say no.
You can't say.
Just so the board knows too, Diana has printed off all of them in paper and they're all ready to be signed tonight. So
Awesome.
that will be also be an opportunity for us to make sure that we handle that and she can get those uploaded as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Dana. All right, 5B Wellness Committee update.
That's me. Now, please correct me if there's anything procedurally I am not doing that I should be doing or saying. Please sit. And when is the first time? Everyone's told us.
This is Kim Hess, for anyone who's watching, our, what is your official title? District nurse, right? Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're a little jumbly. Do I have to press anything?
I think if you press that, button, it should go on. We'll see if it's
Oh, this is so.
Oh. Should I only have one copy of the full policy?
I will explain what you're
Okay.
momentarily.
Yeah, okay.
So, thank you so much with a heart full of gratitude for having me. For anybody, yes, who is not aware, Kimberly Hess, our district nurse, working at Park Bay and Glen Hills, also shared with Mapledale Indian Hill. So we had formed last year, we had formed what we're calling wellness committee. And we're given opportunity to review, as you can see in front of you, either packet. We were looking at the policy 8510 called wellness, physical activity and nutrition. Posted on where things are posted is my outline of the summary of this committee. But you would be able to see that we had many faculty members, we had ranging the gamut of administration, science teachers, PE teachers, PTs, social worker, elementary and middle school teachers joining us. We also had a few community members from the North Shore Health Department in Glendale Heights, which was really great to have kind of a collaborative approach to looking at this. So reviewing this, and I will make this quick, I promise. Reviewing this policy, if you hold one of these packets, it is very weighty. Has a lot of information in it. And so we found that there were several things that we would like to suggest revision on.
Yeah.
So that first packet that you will see, they're both the same policy. One of the packets just has the strikeouts. And the second packet, the one that looks a little more clean, is just the recommendation of what the policy would look like without those pieces in them.
Okay, so it's the same,
It's
but
the same
got it.
thing,
It's
and it's
just-
just, yep, it's just a cleaner copy.
Right.
So we had 3 meeting dates throughout the whole of last year's school year, December, February, and April. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you all was the proposed revisions. One of the sections, and again, you will see this as you flip through. One of the sections was about food being offered and provided in classrooms, talking about the celebrations in classrooms, trying to dissuade food being a part of it, and we as a committee really were talking about how food is a culture builder. The table is central to culture. So we talked about that and made some suggestions there. Another area that we proposed for deletion was just a repeated part under the physical activity section. Literally 2 points are the same, so we took one out. Another part that we proposed for deleting is in one of the sections, it says that an organized wellness program shall be available to all staff. There's an entire section there that looks to either not be applicable to our staff body currently, or the resources are not provided, and the committee would love to request a conversation to be reopened about a potential membership to the Wisconsin Athletic Club or elite sports clubs. Those are really the closest ones to not only our schools, but where most of our staff live and have the most locations available, whether that would be through a membership or some kind of discount or subsidy. So I'm not sure exactly what that would look like. I would be more than happy to look into that and be a part of that. But would just be asking publicly for that conversation to be reopened. And then there's another area in the policy that says fitness club membership offered. Currently, that's not something that is the case, so we would have that out of the policy. And then the Wisconsin Athletic Club is mentioned in particular in there, which does not need to be in the policy specifically. We also wanted to share a few of the key discussion topics that we had as a committee. One of them was overwhelmingly that many of our students are very thirsty. Our garden level of Glen Hills, we've got a lot of our music programs, we've got our PE classes, and as we did kind of an audit of the water fountains, really found that we could use some more, especially water fountains with bottle fillers. And so thankfully we've had multiple installed at Parkway, which is wonderful. The plan for Glen Hills to have some installed had to be postponed because of the flooding, so maintenance had to be worked on for that, but there's a plan in place for some to be added on the garden level and the 3rd level, which is fantastic. This also helps with eliminating class time missed for just going back and getting little sips of water, so students can carry their bottles around and do what they need to do. One of the other bigger pieces that we talked about within this committee that was within the policy. There's a lot within the policy that talks about health education and nutrition. And there are many areas that are pieced into our current curriculum where you could find health, nutrition, physical activity talked about. But this year, there's going to be a large, bless you. There's going to be a large rehashing of the science and human, I believe, health, human growth and development curriculum. And so I'm going to be part of, along with many others, part of the review of this curriculum process. And so we'd like that to be considered as a large part of the work of this wellness committee for this year. Because it would be hard to address the policy before we have actually that curriculum in place. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. And then just going back to the, this was my last point, I already said it, but considering reopening the conversation about a sports club membership or discount for school employees. We had a large amount of not only our committee members, but staff members that wanted to point out that one of our big principles here is empowering growth, connection, and success for all members of our learning community, as well as the foundation of exceptional staff, exceptional leadership. So I wrote out, and I just like how it was written out here, by pursuing health and strength at our core, our students can be lifted up by a team of educators that is strong, motivated, supported, and united. So I wanted to thank you all for listening to me tonight. Any questions?
Let's start over here with Chris. Yeah, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
If I remember correctly, one was told that the reason the previous iteration of
The WAC membership.
membership was discontinued was lack of interest. Do we know? Does anybody happen to know if that was actually the case?
I remember hearing that.
I would have to do a deep dive of if there were any studies or not studies, surveys and things like that where people were pulled, I'm not sure.
I will be very confident in saying it was purely a financial decision. There were people in mass that signed up for it initially, just like with many wellness programs, like people sign up, they start to go to the gym, they fall off. There was a requirement of visits.
Yeah.
That was, I just reinvigorated a conversation with the WAC recently just about what is available based on my conversation with Kim and hearing about the wellness committee's work. So not as many people were using it up until that point, but it also was very costly, in terms of thinking about what that benefit cost our district as we face some of our financial challenges. It was an area for us to scale back. I think Michelle and I, in our conversations, the WAC has kind of a sliding process, as a lot of gyms do. It would also be a way for us to think about how that would tie to bringing our insurance rates lower too.
Yeah.
So there's some fiscal ways that I think we need to consider that in ways that it makes sense and is also sustainable. Anything else?
That was, and to be clear, that was before you were
Right.
in command, yeah.
Which is why I didn't say, which is why I wasn't like, were you guys telling the truth? No, I was like, does anybody happen to know?
I saw the call. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Lauren?
So I think, I mean, certainly we want to promote health and wellness. My primary concern also would be the cost of the two particular places that were named. And I think, you know, there's a lot of ways to expand that consideration, which would not necessarily be limited to them. My employer, for instance, has a program where you get reimbursed up to $20 a month for your membership, but you have to go 12 times and you have to be able, and it's
A month?
yeah.
It's down to 10.
Okay, so
Oh.
so you get reimbursed, but you have to go 12 times.
Probably still not enough.
So, right, because you have to prove that you're using the benefit.
Right.
Because otherwise it's a cost to the district. I think the other thing would be, you know, potentially being able to offer programming here after work or negotiate with Nicolay around access to classes that could be, you know, a lower cost, but perhaps offers, like, there might just be different ways to integrate health and wellness availability. for our
Like through
employees.
Nicolay-Rad.
Through Nicolay-Rad, right,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, of course.
And also, we have a pool, so like, is it possible for us to make that available for people who are interested? So, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways for us to explore that, that could weigh equally beneficially for our employees. For what it's worth, it's good, but yeah, those ideas, because it definitely helps to have a little bit of a motivator, right? That is the truth. Thank you for this, I appreciate it.
I have a lot, I'm sorry. Be efficient. Okay, I'm gonna try to be efficient. Okay, I thank you for this, yes. One thing, a couple things I asked just about presentation would be documenting like who eat like the staff role, just for like memorialization of who is on the committee.
Sure.
And then for next year, I would love to see like more community collaborators from, whether it's parents or students, et cetera. And I know you guys are only required to meet once, so I love that you met 3 times. I'm wondering if was the main thing this year, was it just reviewing the policy? Primarily? Okay.
Yes, and finding a few, one could look through this and go, there were 1,000 things that we'd like to address, so
Right.
what were kind of the majority vote topics.
So then, cause the thing that stands out to me is the committee is establishing goals. And overseeing our policies and our programs, including implementation, so like what I would love to see is more of like a review of our current, like what we see as our current, what would the word be? Adherence to the policy, like if you're going through, it's like, well, we already do this. And this is the areas we need to like do more in, or like, like you said, nutrition education might be next. Like there's a lot of pieces around physical activity, the amount of time for lunch, the actual food we serve, like how does like thinking about that, because the policy lays out USDA guidelines, right? But like we also like some of those are crazy to me, like the foods that we could serve for breakfast. So like, do we want to be healthier? Like, really looking at.
Just so you know, too, some of the wellness pieces that are in there around the USDA requirements are mandatory parts of that policy.
Yes, and
Yeah.
but it's the low bar, in my opinion, right? So we could raise the bar if we wanted to.
It might be helpful for you to hear that I was able to meet with Anthony, our Aramark
Oh, okay, yeah.
head, and that was actually a really enlightening meeting for me. It was just, I just,
Mhm.
just myself and him. To be able to schedule something, but it was really enlightening. It took, pages and pages of notes. I think sometimes the difficulty with that, food is, like I said before, food is a big thing. It's everything, right? And so seeing how Aramark and our partnership with them like meets a lot of the marks was really, I was actually really impressed. And also seeing like nutritionally and how that relates to our students functioning in so many ways on all of the levels seems like a really complex task. And so I think this year was a really good way to take the policy, take some simple goals and say, okay, let's get some momentum. And let's see where this takes us. Food was a really big one that a lot of the members wanted to tackle, but it was really difficult to find consensus as to how to implement that. So there will be a lot of interest in that.
And I could see when we go to, or if we go to RFP, when we look at different vendors too, that would be a good way to pull the wellness committee in, as well as students, because the policy talks about students, like maybe there's student leaders who could be on the
Yes,
committee in general. I bet they have ideas about lunch and physical activity and classroom, things like that. So, okay, and then I would just also, are we still doing wellness Wednesdays, like for, okay, that's gone, right? Okay. Oh, maybe my last question. Oh, I would just suggest talking to Elite, maybe over WAC, like they're already very strong community partners for us. They offer like free fundraisers at their like building, like that it's like you can just go there and like we could host, so I feel like they're probably more amenable to collaborating with us to finding like a middle ground that works in terms of like if the membership is what.
And you also know they're much more expensive.
Well, individual memberships are like $100 a month. So that, that is,
That's
that is,
what
that is,
I'm looking Yeah.
That, I mean, that
The
is
different
expensive, but
tiers.
I'm not, I don't know what, but then they offer like, they offer up their, I think that they're.
They have a lot of services. Yeah,
Yeah.
some people might be more,
Yeah,
minimal.
anyway, I think that they're accessible and they, like, they already partner with us, we just. I think that's all I have, that wasn't too much. Okay, thanks.
What are my notes tell? I appreciate this clarity and the way you all picked some specific ideas. I too would love to see caregivers represented on the membership, but that might be hard, I don't know, but
I think it's doable.
yeah, cause I think I'm thinking about, the mom who came. Oh, I'm brain, and Ledbetter, like someone,
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
might be someone like you who's already embedded in wellness. What's the word? Industry. She's who might be interested in doing it, and I think that caregivers would add value. And this is just a thought because when you talk about food, I always think about international and ethnic foods. We can talk about food being centered, but as a Korean American whose kids refuse to eat the food that's served in schools. Food culture is really complex. I just wanna validate, food culture is very, very complex, and we can talk about. Inclusive food culture, but that's really hard for kids who grow up with not American food at home. Like you come in and treats are in, it's not even about the food, but even the food that's served can be like. Right, this is not familiar to me, and of course, food allergies make that all very, very. So I appreciate that you know how complex that is, and I just wonder if there's space to talk about some of those sort of multicultural issues around food. I doubt there is in a cafeteria setting. On an ongoing daily basis, but, and I don't know.
We might have some really out of the box ideas, especially by students or.
Yeah, even if it's like
Something
something
different, like they'll be Mexican or
Yeah.
Chinese.
ish, right, it's all ish.
Yeah, and I think when I talked with Anthony, one of the things that he was talking about was wanting to introduce, and of course, they have to meet the
Guidelines.
standards
Yeah.
and guidelines within how creative they can be, and he's a chef by trade or by training, thank you. And so wanting to bring in some of the more creative, but then also it has to sell.
Right,
So he's talking
right.
about that, like how to make things popular enough with the student body,
Yeah.
and also wanting to
Yeah.
let's sneak some broccoli in. Let's even as simple as that, it's like they've got to take it on their tray.
My desires, old desires were tickled when you talked about like just food as the center of cultures. We used to talk about doing like with the pen work, we used to talk about maybe doing like a food fair, like a multicultural food fair, like ways to celebrate. The sort of like a food version of what we do at 8th grade graduation, where every language present in our schoolhouses is celebrated at the welcome, like it's
My husband's
possible.
favorite 8th grade member talks
Right.
about
But that's possible to envision moments like that don't have to be incorporated into daily food, but that are opportunities to celebrate food culture. Yeah. Which is, I think, probably quite diverse in our district, but I don't know what that has to do with this wellness committee or policy, but looking down the long road, stuff to think about, so.
Equity into the policy and equity ones.
Yeah, it's interesting, it's hard. Anything else, anyone else? Yes.
Hi, can I just yell from here?
Your name and address for the
Sarah
record.
Peters, 2315 West Good Hope Road, Glendale, Wisconsin, 53209. You probably know this, but we have a corporate membership with Elite, so we get, our employees get 25% off as long as we have 5 people signed up. And then we give an additional 10 for, longevity, but, the employee pays it, but they just automatically get the 25% because of the corporate membership.
Oh, that's good, and get them to waive any enrollment fee.
And that would be,
Yes.
that's interesting.
75.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone online?
I can't get it.
while she's doing that, Kim, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
You're
Nothing in the chat.
Oh, wouldn't it be great if the
Thanks, Diana.
It just comes up with the nurse report. Primarily.
so it's good to see you here, and I know you have a busy life.
Don't
So
push.
thank you for
Don't-
yeah. So thank you for being here.
I took the Girl Scouts pastor, so I was like, do you want to say something?
Oh, yeah.
And then I shouldn't have said what it.
You're like, who's who, like, go on, chill.
Yeah, so now I'm helping out where you guys.
It just means more cookies.
You are welcome at all of
I
our
also
meetings.
drive my kids home when they miss the bus, so, you know. it's community.
Come to more meetings.
We love to be here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, and I think that's it then, right?
Yep.
Anna, anything else for, thanks.
Thank
And
you.
please thank committee members for us as well, for all this dedicated work. And then I guess for previewing future work, we have to probably get the proposed revisions somewhere on our agenda, right, for us to consider, or do we wait until that cycles through with Neola?
No, I think we need to take a look at the wellness policy is coming forward in our packet of information that's coming forward, so we can incorporate that
Okay.
into our look at that in our workshop.
Oh, okay.
So,
You guys.
so I think we can take a look at how we might make some of those changes ahead of during the time.
Perfect, at our workshop, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's really, actually really.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Whoever makes
Oh,
it
well
does.
done.
It's not me. All right. Welcome, it's nice to have a student here.
More life has been injected into this meeting.
It is.
All right, moving on to item 5C, PTO and foundation update. Is that why you're here?
Yes.
Got it.
Would you like me to go up to the microphone?
Sure.
Okay.
Say your name and. What else if we- you don't have to say your address. Good, if you wish.
So my name is Sheree Purdy. I am the current PTO president for Glen Hills and Parkway. And this year I'm serving with Samantha, she goes by Sam, from White, and she was the vice president. Melanie Hinchy is the treasurer, and Kathleen, she goes by Kat Rivers, is the secretary. So we were all elected in May, and we're excited to go forward this year. We have some like goals and plans for this year. These are pictures showcasing some of the events that we've had in the past. Fall Fest, which is coming up on October 18th from 3 to 6 p.m. And then other events, movie nights, other kind of things that we've done. So there's a list of our executive board this year, and Kat is new this year. This is her first year as the secretary, so. And the rest of us have served in different roles throughout the year, so. No, that was. I couldn't add one more thing to her list.
Okay.
Yep, and so we have 6 goals going into this new year that we wanted to focus on. Then the first one, and I think the one that's the most important to us, is to increase parent participation at PTO meetings, including events. I feel like if we are all agreeing on everything, then we are missing a perspective. You're missing somebody's voice. So we are trying to figure out different ways to do that. We tried to be a little more obvious at the open houses, and that was really good. I think one of the things is with COVID and all that, it threw us off. We were a new board coming into that, and then everything was different. And how do you do outreach? And things changed. You know, we don't do paper directories anymore. People want online, but reaching them, I know. We need school, if you'd like to volunteer. Someone to have that up.
Katie got some work on that.
Yeah,
Right?
yes,
Yeah.
I've heard good things. But it was a lot of work. The second one is connecting parents to volunteer opportunities at their school. What feedback we've heard is parents want to be in the schools when the kids are in the school. So they're much more interested in like, I want to be in the classroom, or I want to be the lunchroom or something like that. And I have to say, Mr. Kroger has been very helpful and very
involved in making that happen. This year what we did is a survey at the open house and basically where you were interested in filling in, and then I went in and sorted everybody and sent it to the teachers, and the teachers were really excited about it. It sounds like they are already, well, he's probably reported on, they already have volunteers in the library for the K-4 classes and all those things, so hopefully this is a good step forward.
Nice.
And-
Did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third one is to improve communication between the foundation, scouts, the schools and the PTO. What we found with the foundation especially is we're doing the same work. We're reaching out to the same people around the same times for the same kind of donations. So making sure that we're coordinating those efforts. So businesses who are already confused about who's calling me, they get one contact and it can be more of a less confusing for the community and more unifying thinking. So we've had some meetings with the scouts, we've had some talks with the foundation, so we're working on that. Where we want to try new ideas, again, thinking about what are we keep doing, but we're not reaching as many people as we would like to. So again, coming up with new ideas is kind of hard and a little scary because we don't know how successful they'll be. But we're going to try a game night in November versus a movie night, see if that reaches more people who might not be interested in their kids watching more screens and being, just sitting down for a TV thing. So we're gonna try that in November. Number 5 is develop a grant program for the clubs at Glen Hills. We'd like to be able to help more at Glen Hills. And it's not the same as Parkway. And what the examples we know of with PTOs, grade schools, what do they do at a grade school? And so trying to figure out how can we help at Glen Hills? So developing a way to help the clubs, and help them access funds to do fundraising. So basically starter cash, like are there things that they need that, they want to start to sell concessions. Like last year we helped the forensics team buys food for concessions so they could sell it and then start their own, steamrolling from there. But making sure that trying that out. So we're writing that up, trying to figure out how to work, reaching out to the clubs. And so that's one of our goals this year. And then the 6th one is to provide leadership or volunteer opportunities for Glen Hills students so they can feel like what they say matters, that it does make a difference. At least as far as the PTO is concerned. Like if they come and present for a grant, we'd like to be able to listen to them and do what we can to make sure that, we can give them something to encourage them to keep thinking about how to improve their community as they, grow up and go on. So. Yeah, thanks, Anna. And then for our plans this year, so far in September, we had a K-4 play date, which was pretty successful. Mrs. DLP and Mrs. A were there. We invited all the students to come. PTO provided popsicles. And just as an opportunity for them to get together, K-4 is a time of change and transition for parents, is a little nerve-wracking, and also for kids. So just to the littles have a space for them. We also participated in the open houses at Glen Hills and Parkway, which was really nice. Got to see and meet a lot of parents there. In October, like I said, we have a Fall Fest planned that is a traditional outdoor festival at Parkway from 3 to 6 p.m. We had a planning meeting last night, so we're pretty excited about that.
It's on the district calendars from 10 to 6.
Oh no,
Just so you,
yeah.
and I was like,
It's from 3, right?
okay, I just wanted, yeah.
3 to 6, yeah, okay.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was
Yeah.
I was like, that is a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
fun.
You can come and help set up if you show up that early. November, like I mentioned, we're doing a family game night. December, we're doing the secret gift shop, which we're really excited about. We can bring in middle school students to volunteer. Younger kids can come in and buy presents for their families for whatever was your excited that they are having. January, we're going to do a family movie night. Typically been very successful. Dates to be determined. February is the sock hop, so that's already been booked with the Kids Boogie Down February 20th at Parkway. And then March, again, we're doing a family movie night. April, we are keeping it low key. And then building into May, which will be Teacher Appreciation Week, which will be that first week in May. And then in June, we jump into 3rd grade send off. the support we offer for the 8th grade graduation or open house, and then also field day. So that is our plan. Other things that we do at the PTO, we offer teacher grants, which are limited, and again, the foundation does offer teacher grants too. So coordinating with that, like a more streamlined approach to how do we get teachers what they need. Our grants are typically for the consumables, things that the foundation or is able to cover. We also offer parent-teacher conference dinners, a teacher appreciation week and a field day, 3rd grade send off, and then support as needed. Knowing that needs have changed, they change every year, and trying to be flexible with what administration would like to see us do or how we can best help them. I think one of the things we don't want to do is cause more work for our teachers or staff or anyone else. And so being cognizant of what is actually helpful versus what is just nice. So thank you. That is everything that I had. Are there any questions?
We'll start with, I think it's Karen's turn, right?
I have no questions. And also I have to present next and.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Quite abashed.
I don't have slides.
I'm just like.
You have to say my husband is really good at
Yeah.
he did a lot for this.
Yes.
Danielle? I'm thinking of, I know increasing parent participation has just always been
Right.
an issue, or maybe at least since COVID. So I'm like, what kinds of things have you guys thought about or tried already that like are not, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
haven't totally worked, but
Yeah, yeah.
like, are there like,
Yeah, I think confronting the assumption that we think everyone knows what the PTO is and does is something on our end. Well, obviously.
I don't remember the website, is the
Yeah.
website been updated, like?
It should.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think communication is also really important. It's easy to get into a silo and think, pushing it out as much as I can. So what I really appreciate about what Kat is doing this year is she is much better at social media posting than I am. Or I will say for the group, probably any of us. So she has done a much better job of keeping up on that. And then I think the other thing is really encouraging parent participation in the meetings, making it more of a decision-making group versus here's the information, here's more information, and more information. We always have a really good first meeting, I think. And we had some really interested parents and who had real concerns about real issues they were seeing. And, obviously they weren't all things that PTO could do anything about, but giving it a space for people to talk and encouraging them and really showing them we value what they're saying and trying to see, just like we're talking about with middle schoolers, if they come to you and you don't do anything, they're gonna stop coming. And so trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? Where can we make changes? Especially as it comes to getting people in the classrooms, because that's been a thing of and not even classrooms. A lot of people have mentioned wanting to be in Glen Hills specifically, doing things. And so, or just being around the students and not really being sure how to do that. And so our job, I think, is to work with Mr. Williams and Principal Williams and how do you do that in a way that's appropriate, that's meaningful. So I'm basically showing people that when they come, it matters.
Yeah, I wonder if some of my suggestions would be,
Yeah.
so when you, cause we struggle with participation
Right,
as
right.
well, right? So the thing I'm landed on is go to where they are, right? Which you said you guys are doing, but maybe when you're there, maybe it's surveys about important, maybe it's getting some feedback, whether it's a QR code and they can fill out what do you want to see the PTO do, that kind of thing. So it's not just I need you, you need to give me some time or resource. It's you could survey for things or ideas there, maybe, or send out a survey through Parent Square, the Thursday folder, something like that to kind of just see
Well, and our other struggle is, to be honest, we're having, there's only so many volunteers.
well, it's a
And
there's
too long.
yeah.
So it's it's like a double-edged sword of we want to be responsive, but we also need people to come and step up a little bit too, yeah, and how do you?
K4.
I know, that's
Parents who are like,
That's kind of why we have the,
yeah.
the play date, come and meet us, do our thing.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
I wonder, if, we have KPIs now that
Yeah.
like measure our progress with the strategic plan. It'd be interesting to see where stuff that the PPO is doing fits in with those. And how you could support that.
Yeah,
And then I guess in terms of like diversifying experience, it might also tie into what the wellness committee wants to do around, or our policy around movement. Adding more, like the dances are always really fun, like
Yeah.
do line dancing or
Yeah.
roller skating. The parents love to come volunteer at
Yeah.
roller skating games. What if it was a roller skating
Yeah.
night? Or
Yeah.
so, something
Yeah.
like that, that it's like not accessible to everybody to
Right.
go pay and go do that.
Yeah.
So thinking
Yeah.
about some of those things, like
Yeah.
maybe more cultural,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
things, and then, I think also maybe just like doing a little bit more at Glen Hills, like maybe your family game
Mhm.
night could be at Glen Hills, cause I think a lot of times the
Yeah.
Glen Hills families don't feel like they're supposed to go to the things at Parkway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
But-
Glen Hill's been a little harder to schedule.
oh,
Just
okay,
with-
and maybe even manage, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but like.
It's just,
There's a lot of events going on here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
The
yeah,
space is.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, so anyway,
No,
those
no,
are
and I
just
think
my,
that's a good.
those are my thoughts,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think it is good to be at Glen Hills, especially for younger families. to
Mhm,
see
get
this
it,
space.
yeah.
Yeah, so. we agree. Thanks.
Well, this takes me straight back to when we used to do the parent engagement night stuff, because, I mean, the problems you're describing are forever problems with the
Yeah.
PTO and with school district, right?
Yeah.
And I was in leadership
Yeah.
on both organizations, and the same thing, I mean, it's just sort of a perennial problem.
Mhm.
And speaking very, very frankly, there's not diversity and representation in
Mhm.
PTO and foundation leadership. And a friend of mine, Michelle, and I had some heart to hearts about it. She's African American, and she was like, "You have to remember, Carla." I remember her saying it to me because it was a moment when I was like, "Oh." She was like, "Remember, PTOs are associated for a lot of people of color with racism and institutionalized discrimination. So there's a barrier we have to get back even today, and maybe especially today, to try to create safe spaces and to invite people in. And so when, I was thinking about this because the question as you posed it is, what do you want to see the PTO do? I think the better question is, what do you want to do for our school district, and what can you offer? And so my head goes less to like tell me what you want me to do, and more to what can we do together, or what do you want to do? And that was what was so effective about the Penn committee, because somehow we had this magic moment where a lot of people came in and everyone had their ideas, and it was yes, you want to do it, let's fund it, right?
Yeah.
And I found that attitude was much more inspiring,
Mhm.
and brought in some people who hadn't been participating in before. So I would
Mhm.
encourage you to think about that. In terms of parents getting into the buildings, I mean, it's not a new idea, but it might be new now. And PTO used to do during the school day events here, like a Valentine's Day ice cream sundae food.
Yeah,
Things like that. So that might be something you could explore again, because then parent volunteers have
Yeah.
and the way they used to do it was like over a 3-hour period of time, the classes would cycle through, it was very specific. You knew which grade was coming at what time, and then parents could volunteer. Do you remember this? For the specific slot. So if there was room in a school day,
yeah.
maybe days have changed, that would be something to think about. And then I know I'm talking more than you. But then, I did so much of this. I know, I'm sorry, but I did a lot of this, right? And all of it, you guys did a lot of this work too.
Have fun.
So when, I'm killing it here. When you talk about having more activities here and then thinking about student volunteerism and leadership, I found that our most successful, and we had high participation events, were the service project nights that you put together, Fritz, right? And that was your idea. And again, I would encourage you to think about something like because you can do service projects at both schools. We used to do a morning one at Parkway where, and you would set up like 6 or 7 different stations. We would have kids here. And it was one of these ideas that everyone can volunteer, not just honor students, and just, and if we were to someday have a service hour requirement for graduation, it would fit in nicely in a PTO would be and probably.
Yeah.
So, those are the things I'm thinking about. I know it's hard. I know it's
Yeah.
really, really hard when you feel like you're doing so much work. There's very little energy left for going out and recruiting. And I found the best strategy for recruiting was not to say, I need you to do, we need people to do these things that we have, but rather to take a longer view and say, like, you got an idea, bring it, we'll fund it. And then there's sort of a winnowing as well. Some people I would say that to, I'd be like, great idea, what do you need? And they'd be like, what? But then once there's a person who's like, I wanna own this, and I'd say, you know, we'd be like, go for it.
That's
let's do
kind of
it."
what I meant
So-
with like surveying or asking
Yeah.
people like how they would wanna like rather be involved or what they wanna
Yeah.
see in the schools they're not seeing, because then it's like you could take that and run. I know like
Yeah.
Latinx,
Yeah.
Heritage Month is coming up, and last year, I think Maria Allen was like trying
Yeah.
to do something like a
Mhm.
day, but like wasn't able to, to like.
Yeah.
But again, it's like that could be something where if she has the idea and PTO,
Yeah.
like, fund it and we'll help you sort or
We'll help you
whatever.
process, we know how
Yeah,
to put together.
talk to
and-
admin, things
Right.
like that.
Pretty cool. That's my ideas.
Interesting.
Sorry, Chris.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing this for years.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it's pretty thankless work, but
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for this. I love your goals. I think
Thanks.
they're great. I think
Yeah.
they fit in well with, you know, what the district is doing.
Well, and really, we just, it's, you get to a point where we can't keep doing this thing, you know? And so how do you recruit people to take over, you know, because when we took over, it was, from what I remember, in a group of moms who were in the 8th grade students, and they're like, well, we're gone. And so we need people in the,
We need to be overlapping.
yeah.
Succession planning, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're already lean.
Yeah, so. Katie?
I'm impressed that you guys have managed to, basically the 4 of you, just like managed to like keep all of these things, they're still happening and you haven't had to cancel much.
Yeah,
It's really pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's thanks to Sam and Melanie, I think, a lot, that they have a lot of energy. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. We thank you for being able to do that.
The PTO, right,
Yeah.
teacher, I remember when I first came to the district, and I went to some of the PTO meetings. Pre-COVID, they were well attended and there was staff and teachers that would attend. Were they required to attend, or I wonder what was driving them?
No, in
To
my time,
attend, or-
in my time, they were just people who did
They
it.
wanted to do it.
And they were
okay,
sort of
okay.
designated and they
Okay.
viewed themselves as teacher reps on the PTO.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of ended with the departure of a couple of big participants and then COVID.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, right.
That's
I remember there used to be a superintendent update at every meeting too, when I, in the early days when I would go.
right.
15 years ago.
I think you do that now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good principal meeting updates.
Yeah, principals
Yeah.
and superintendents, yes.
Yeah, it's a great meeting. But I think going back to getting people to do what they want is really, like you were saying, not being like, I need you to do this, but what are you actually interested in doing?
And it's hard when I remember feeling like this, like a lot of ownership
Yeah.
and then really struggling to let go. Right, until I finally did, and then it was like a free for all. I would just be like, great idea, make it happen. And people would just run from me. But that first, that
Yeah,
leap past
yeah.
ownership is a little bit hard, I find.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, and I'll just say like this
Yeah.
kind of segues into a little bit with the foundation, but one of the things so I too was big
Yes.
at TTO back in the day. A little bit more, to be unsurprising to people, a little bit harder about it, like I closed rides down, or not rides, I closed the popular games down because we didn't have enough volunteers.
Sure.
And then people were like, you can't close that game, and I'm like, give me an hour, you can open it. But,
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes. It was exasperating.
Yeah.
I will say, for what it's worth, I'm on the foundation now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I was not comfortable going to foundation meetings.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure who was on it. I think personal invitation can go a long way.
Yeah.
Being there with people,
Mhm.
right? And so
Yeah.
even having that kind of empowerment of like, I sought you out, I
Yeah.
see you as a valuable member and
Mhm.
asking, you know, maybe teachers who have like really invested parents already, like, are there people?
Yeah.
But that, I think, you know, volunteerism it's really complicated, and
Yeah.
we see a lot of exhaustion on the side of caregivers.
Yeah.
Across the board,
Right, yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, I will say, one nice thing is when we need volunteers for field day, there's so many, like,
Right.
they fill up the slots, when we need volunteers for the fall fest, like. It's the leadership that we're like
Yeah.
struggling to, you know,
Right.
get.
Right.
Like, people being invested in going forward, a lot of people are really excited about, I wanna be there, I wanna do this thing. But when it comes to, hey, have you thought about running for an office or running this event,
It feels overwhelming.
yeah.
And some
Yeah.
things don't have to be the same all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like the ice cream social, used to happen all the time.
Mhm.
It went away. Generationally, those things changed pretty
Yeah,
fast.
right.
Fall
Yeah.
festival, newsflash, was not always outside.
That was mine very organized.
It's so great that it's outside and.
Yeah,
My legacy.
So, you know, I think the other thing is like embracing the opportunity for change in these organizations and recognizing like, if we can't keep it going the way it's going, maybe that's a message that it needs to change it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But you guys are doing a great job.
I was just thinking,
Yeah.
as we're talking about succession planning and stuff, if at some point, I know a lot of them are already planned out. If there's room for this in parent university, getting people excited about leadership opportunities
Right.
and such.
Great idea, Chris.
That is a fantastic idea. And I guess it's really in Anna's kind of bailiwick to think about whether there's a way to inspire teacher participation.
Yeah, we've heard if it's needed. Yeah, we've tried, I mean, I will say 2 years ago, it was a requirement of teachers to trade off and go, and that was.
That was before your time ago.
No, it wasn't,
Oh,
it was during my time as principal at Glendale,
Oh, I
so
see.
it's a requirement of teachers and staff at Parkway, and I think, you know, it's something to consider as to whether or not that would. I think having representatives from grade levels that take that on as a leadership opportunity for their department.
Yeah.
And see value, and it would be a more motivating way to get actual participation, I'm just gonna put it like that.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Right, and right from my perspective.
Yeah.
Being spouse of someone who works in a school, like asking him to be gone for one more thing.
That's right.
I would
Exactly.
say, what?
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
And, so that's not something we would love it, but I think we all accept, like, teaching has changed so much. There's so much demanded on them right now that I think our goal is to be as supportive as possible and, would love their insights and participation, and I'd love a way to find it that was easy for them to voice what they needed. Working with Mrs. A and Mrs. DLP, they needed rugs, and working with them on that and like talking through, it was really fulfilling to be like, hey, we're doing something that's really, actually helping. This is not just fun, this is not just, but we're actually giving them support that they needed, so. Wish we could do more of that, it's just connecting to the problems.
I'm hopeful that we can kind of figure out the secret
Yeah.
sauce behind that, and
Yeah.
that it's meaningful for both people. and
Yeah.
That's the part that I think you want, and I know that that's what I would want for our teaching staff who are engaged in it with you, too,
Right.
that it feels mutually beneficial in some ways.
Yeah.
And giving in both back and forth, yeah,
They do so much.
yeah, they do.
And I would say that you are impactful. I mean, it may not feel like a lot, but the events PTO puts on make a huge difference, and the foundation events do.
Yeah.
It's big. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for making this time.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for coming. Come back to another meeting anytime. All right, and foundation, is that you?
That's
Can you
me,
give us a little?
a little. So keeping in mind that I'm still very new on the foundation journey, and you should feel free to send out any documents over to me about like foundational, and what we do, not sure what the purpose is. But we had the fun run. I mean, they really have, like, to my understanding, 2 major events of the year. So the fun run was had with the glow walk, which was very well received. And so we've actually got a wrap up scheduled for tomorrow night. It's a virtual meet to kind of take a look at like, how did things go? What was attendance like? I will say this year, we had much higher levels of sponsorship. Thank you to one of our sponsors sitting in the room right now. So that was great.
Glendale
And-
Heights.
Yes,
Glendale Heights,
for the
yes.
make it the record. And so I think if we didn't fully cover the cost of the t-shirts with the sponsorship, we came very close, which was really nice. The t-shirts were great. There's conversations, there's these ongoing conversations, like how do we maybe differentiate between adult sizes and kid sizes, so it's easier to sort, things like that. But, I think, it's a fun event. And that has really been the primary focus of the first several meetings I've sat in on, so because we have to get it going.
The glow walk was fantastic.
The glow up was fantastic, it absolutely was, we should have bags stuffed in the pockets of the people who staff it, so they can just keep dismantling it as they went back.
That's a great idea, Carmen.
I know.
So.
We are talking about, the date for the spring fling that's to be determined, and again, there's a lot of conversations around like what tradition has been, like it's been, finding location, things like that, those are conversations that are gonna be ongoing. So it's again, a small group of people trying to do a lot of big things. One of the things that came up at the last meeting is that Sean McMahon, who thank God he still does this because he doesn't have people in the district anymore, so it's great that he's still leading. Had brought forward the fact that there are, with the tribute funds, there's some monies available, that a pretty significant amount of money that they're trying to figure out how to reallocate, because they were dedicated to staff who are no longer with the district.
Right.
And so how, that money was given with an intent to honor those people. They've left, how does the foundation determine like reallocation of those
Are there
things?
contracts for the, like, whatever was given for it?
Right, so this is what I know.
Oh,
is what I'm
okay.
sharing with you right
So
now.
I know about this too, because I was the
Yes.
president
Oh.
and the
And so
treasurer.
they're gonna be looking at, so they're going to be looking at how all of this works, and they will be then perhaps firming up, if that language doesn't exist, how that needs to be able to be determined.
Yeah.
But that is something that's gonna be on the agenda in the next couple months.
I can tell you just, if you don't mind. So the tribute idea was started under Larry Smalley. And it was a way for parents to give tax deductible contributions, because it was a contribution to a nonprofit, a 504 organization. So you could give a gift to your teacher, a financial gift through the foundation, tax deduction, and then the teachers could pool those, right?
Right.
But the gift was, in fact, to the foundation, and so while assigned to them, the theory was it's still a donation to the district.
Yeah.
So there was a
So
practice.
it's more of an earmark, not a.
Right, so there was a practice, but I don't know whether there are foundational legal documents. So there was a practice when a teacher left, and there was this, I think it was written in that you had to use the money to buy things that you would use in your classroom. But you had to kind of have permission. You couldn't like buy a TV to put on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, it was like, but it was sort of loosey. And then if someone left, like if they were a fifth grade teacher, the money would just sort of sit there, or eventually someone would notice and roll it over to the fifth grade team, or it was just, it was complicated, and it was with the superintendent that we would try to work those things out.
Yeah,
So,
and that was, I think, very
Yeah.
consistent with the conversation that was had.
and it was messy. It was always messy.
Yeah, and then just making sure that that becomes a part of an offboarding process when somebody leaves, if they have tribute money, to designate where it goes. And
Right.
so just kind of, there's some cleanup work that needs to go along that, along with some standard operating procedures.
right.
When I became the treasurer, I was handed it like this spreadsheet in Excel. And it just. That's how I felt when I looked at it. I mean, Michelle would just be like hanging her head in tears. What she saw was what I was handed. It was just like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this, But
Yeah, so we're always grateful for the people who are doing the work.
Yeah.
But it does, I think there's been some conversations around trying to clarify, streamline some of these things. The application for teacher grant deadline is October 15th, so making sure that we get that pushed out. And, you know, the foundation largely focuses on grants that are more like durable goods, so non-consumable kinds of things and more expensive kinds of things. The fence that was being installed at Parkway being one of those things. And so, you know, those grants, the deadline is October 15th for the teachers, and so have those conversations possibly.
Just for teachers, students can't submit ideas or anything like that.
That's a really good question.
Answer them.
Do you?
No, they're for teachers.
Okay, got it. And then, you know, kind of similar to what Sheree alluded to, there's streamlining, so we're trying to combine like. Forces, because there's not as many people, but. The finances are explicitly separate, so
Right.
that's not going to change. And then. Continuing to kind of streamline. All of you know, I mean, I think it just seems like there's a lot of fragmentation of like. Who gets contacted and how they get contacted and just kind of like cleaning up that information. It sounds like it's something that they're gonna be looking at too. They seem like a really great group of people and they really have a lot of fabulous ideas and energy. I've enjoyed my time with them so far. And I am clearly a much less. This is very helpful.
No, that was great.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Danielle, any questions or comments? No, really, thank you. If you do want history, I do have deep history, so I'm happy to provide whatever vague insights I can. Chris? Thank you. Katie?
Sort of taking this off.
Yep. All right, it is 7:15. Do we need a brief break before we move to finances or? Anybody need a break?
What else do we, then we have closed, so, okay, so.
Why don't can we wait until close and take a little break there? Okay. Moving on to item 6A then, revenues, expenditures, payroll.
What is this? Try it again. Okay. Doesn't like it.
No. Let's see if we can do this instead.
Project.
You have board docs open already?
Yeah.
Okay. Take it away.
Here I go.
Such a good team.
That was a seamless handoff. Here we go. I didn't even know it happened if you hadn't said anything.
Okay, so we are going to review the financial status of the district for the month of August 2025. We are in the fiscal year 2026. So the reports here we're in the second month with these reports of the fiscal year 2026. So right here, this table is a summary of the attachments that are under fiscal year 26 revenues and expenses by fund. Yeah, you could. So this is the new updated report showing the current budget 25-26, the fiscal year activity for 24-25. The next column is 25-26 fiscal year to date, and I need to update that just with the months so you can see that, but that's through August. And then 24-25 fiscal year to date through August, so that you're getting a good comparison of what it looked like last year, July and August, what it looks like this year, July and August. And then the current month, so August 25-26, and then comparing to August 24-25 activity. So that's just the monthly activity. And one thing I do need to update as well is the last column for those percentages. I want to make sure that they're pulling the actual activity to the budget 25-26 so that you know where we're at comparison. So in looking at the fiscal year to date activity for 25-26 in the general fund, we had revenues of 75,757, and on the table on the executive summary I rounded. Then expenses, we're looking at $1,453,139.80 for the general fund. And comparing that with the next column over, fiscal year to date. In 24-25, the revenues are significantly higher, were significantly higher, and that was due to that straight state trust fund loan of 6 million. And then the expenditures are fairly close. And then the next slide, scrolling, there's Fund 21, those are donations and activities, school activities, clubs. And then Fund 27 is our general, special education fund. 27. And we don't really expect very much revenue at the, for July and August. Most of the money that comes in is from the previous year. Yeah, and then Fund 38, we did have a small debt service payment in September. Fund 46, again, this is all. Fund 38. Yeah, Fund 38. Mhm. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that small debt payment, and then in Fund 46, interest, interest to date, that's $1,547, and last year through August was $1,575, that's pretty close. Yeah. And then Fund 50, our food service fund. Not much activity for July and August. Yeah. And then our Fund 80. Currently, fiscal year to date, we've brought in more revenues than expenditures out through August. The expenditures are very similar to last year, that time's true. And then we have the fiscal year 26, August 2025 accounts payable disbursement checks. So and this information is we're gonna start getting this out on the website soon. So we're looking at a total through accounts payable of $848,973.23. And all of those bills are listed here. One thing to note would be check number 82384 on page 2. It has a description of NSF error. It's not an error, it was a positive pay error. So I just wanted to highlight that so that you would know.
Wait, 82384, what is a positive pay?
Positive pay is where we send information to the bank of the checks that we've written, and if they don't match, if a check comes, is presented. And we have not put that check number out there with that dollar amount, and the vendor, they're not going to cash it. Unless we go in and say, yes, that is one. We have I think less than. I think we have less than 24 hours to acknowledge that, so there was a mix up with, there was a mix up with that information getting to the bank.
Okay.
And that's why those came back. And it's not that the bank wouldn't clear them at that point, they didn't say, we'll never, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So,
kind of like checks and balances.
yeah, yes.
Got it.
Yep. And that was really the only thing to note, but feel free to look through here and if you have any questions, reach out.
No, or
If you have any questions now,
we'll just right above it, there's also a check that says lost in the mail, voided, like
Mhm.
line, is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay.
They had never received that.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I see, okay,
Mhm.
but we did spend?
We had sent it, so we put a stop payment on it and then also yeah.
So it just.
So they had a replacement check.
Yes.
So are the, like, those are pretty big amounts, are those, like one-time payments, or these monthly the new line education?
The new
or
was, let me,
services?
so the page.
That's the company that, is that the?
Yeah,
That's our.
Oh, that, okay, that's
right,
right.
right.
Oh.
Yeah, and
is
those
the-
were,
The
like-
last payments?
yeah, the second invoice, the 3574A, under invoice number, that says April 2025 Flex Tech Services. And then the other one, the next one below it is May.
Okay.
We did pay them. They did provide during the changeover to the new company, they still posted our files for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So will these be the last payments to them then, or do we still have?
They
money on that?
hold one other.
They do the doors.
The doors,
Mhm.
they still hold the contract on our,
The door system.
the door system, like the
Oh.
security system of the doors.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So but we'll phase that out.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
And then the summary of payroll and disbursements. Yeah, this report lists the gross amounts of disbursements through payroll, benefits, and other disbursements from July 1st, 2025 through August 31st, 2025. So this is showing the months of July and August. At the first two lines are payroll, that is gross pay through our system, with the subtotals, and then benefits. And then other payments, we had HRA payments, we changed companies, so there was a little lag in there, so we'll get that updated. You'll see that in September. Retiree annuities, retiree insurance, total salaries and benefits, and then AP checks. And accounts payable total. And the total for the month of August, 1.5 million.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Retiree annuities, I should know this, but is that those legacy payments that we have to make on? From some people's contracts, where they
Yes.
have annual payments for,
Mhm.
got it.
And then the last, second to last item on here, August 31st, 2025 bank balances. In the first group of accounts, those are individual funds, but that is all in one checking account. So, you see a negative in some of those, that was a negative in that account. In our books, not a negative bank account. And then the US Bank payroll checking account. Petty cash, our WISC investments, and then the money market in US Bank. And then, the very last item on here is the budget calendar. I put it on here so the board can see. Nothing has changed on this since the budget workshop, other than a little checkbox. Budget workshop.
Oh, I might not have caught that otherwise.
But to Michelle's credit, some of this is because it layers in, so like the auditor certification. And because that hasn't been able to happen yet, because some people were on vacation or like,
Yeah.
right? So the auditor group had some questions that couldn't be answered internally, so we have to wait for them to get the resources to be able to answer those questions, which means that the open enrollment, the annual report certification can't be done, so like some things are just relying on external resources, but those are boxes that could be checked soon. Because we've done the work.
And I guess I could have checked the box below it, we do have those counts, but they're not fully done. And then open enrollment confirmation, I think it was yesterday when I looked, there were still some districts that had not confirmed our residents in their district. So we're still getting that.
Okay, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. Let's start with a motion, if anyone wishes to make one. Discussion.
I move to approve the financials as presented.
Second.
Right, for discussion, Chris?
No, thank you.
Katie? Lauren?
I only that, I was saying to Michelle, it's nice to enter into our second year now of this formatting and this report styling and to have like a comparison of what we know to be a stable budget cycle to our current budget cycle, so we can really look at real numbers and have confidence that it's just really nice, so thank you. And she says she's happy here, so that's good.
Oh, really good to hear. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, the year over, I will just add that the year over year look are just really, really helpful, just for building perspective. So thank you for being responsive to our asks for how we would like to, how we best process information. Super. All right, there's a motion by Karen Cronwell, second by Chris Robinson to approve the revenues, expenditures, and payroll for August 2025. All in favor? Aye. Believe I heard 5 ayes, motion carries. Thank you, Michelle. Moving on to 6B, gifts, grants, bequests.
Yeah, so I actually need to be out of here too, but this is the board is being asked to accept the following donation. $500 donation from Rutgers Company to Parkway Elementary. There were also $45 worth of donations for supplies from individual donators, 3 people making donations.
What is the donation for? Yep. For Mr. Kreger to be like, what will I do with, basically, right? Okay. Cool. Thanks, Rutgers.
Who is
What do they do? Yeah.
Why are they, what inspired this?
Did they just want to mention at our meeting? I'm just kidding. Well, for everybody watching.
Yeah, I think for policy, we're bringing it forward, but it was very discreetly dropped off at Parkway.
Oh,
It's
okay.
currently kind of an annual thing that they bring forward, so.
Oh,
Just a thoughtful thing that
Yes,
they
it
do.
is.
Oh, that's
It
nice.
is.
Well, we're required to celebrate and honor them
Yes.
by our board policy.
Great, but
Oh, I want to.
Yeah, awesome. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to accept the generous donation of $500 from Rutgers Company to Parkway.
I second.
Any further discussion? Anyone in our? All right, there is a motion to accept the generous $500 donation from Rutgers Company to Parkway Elementary. Motion by Chris Robinson, second by Danielle Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and gratitude. Thank you, Rutgers Company.
They appeared at a variety of gas stations here.
Nice. Very thoughtful. Thinking of our kids.
I think I'll put a sign too.
All right, next on the agenda, item 60, potential to go into closed session. If someone wishes to make a motion.
I move to recess into closed section for section 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public property, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, specifically to discuss an existing contract for service. Just call me, this is hot. So,
All right, Lonnie.
hot guy Mike.
Is there a second?
Cards, what's me?
Second. Okay. Motion by Danielle Bailey to go into closed session, second by Chris Robinson. Any questions? All right, this is a roll call vote. Chris Robinson.
And
Katie Avalos.
Aye.
Karen Cromwell.
Aye.
Danielle Bailey. Prematurely. Now it's your turn, Danielle. Hi. Carolyn Pennington Cross, aye. Motion carries. We are in closed session. Okay, we are back in open session. We have no motions to make coming out of close. Moving on to board preview and planning. Let's see, Anna, you had some news to share around the business honor roll, right, from
Yes,
WASB?
we received our certifications from WASB and I would like to propose potentially looking at doing an honoring of them either at our next meeting in October or the following meeting, but I think it would be a great opportunity for us to publicize that and invite them to receive that honor from us, here.
Yeah, so she has these nice certificates.
Excellent.
Would there be like a more well-attended event that like we could feature it at for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, like for the board? You know what I'm saying? I'm like that.
Is
Well,
there anything coming up?
yeah, there's a parent university is happening on the 14th. Time is a little bit tight, but we could do it right at the opening where.
It's just an idea. I'm not committed. It's just like, you know, they'll come here and it'll be us and then we'll be like, thank you.
Well, the benefit of doing it here, if it's orchestrated to the camera, is
Is
that
it
they could have a little
recorded?
clip. Or we could take a
Sure.
photo of
Yeah.
them with all of us and the businesses.
Oh, that's true.
Right, I mean, if you wanna photo up. Huh?
Oh, I get the whole admin team here.
So I am meeting with Carla on Monday to do planning so we'll delineate one of those 2 meetings. We can
Yeah.
Look at that, and then
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure we also have enough time to kind of promote it and reach out to them and give them time to accept.
Yeah.
So maybe the second
Second
meeting
meeting
would be better.
To the second.
Yeah.
Empowered community.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
wonderful. And Chris, thank you for making that
Yeah.
happen. I never would have even known about it. If you weren't incredibly competent. And then I've got my grounding volunteer. Danielle, thanks for getting the ad into the Glendale newsletter.
Yeah.
That was spectacular. And Anna also got a nice blurb in.
Yep.
On upcoming events, so that's great. On my mind for coming up is that, I wonder if at our meeting in October where we talk about legislative updates, if we want to chew on the question of, transparency on the tax levy around vouchers and
I thought the city was already gonna do that.
are they? I don't know. But
Well, they were on board. I don't know that we have, or Brian said, I'm on board. And that was a while ago, but
But there might be work we can and should do to ensure that it happens, so.
Yeah.
Something to think about, maybe we can chew on it.
Maybe something to poke at too, since we're getting or having administrator clerk.
Any quick, someone suggested I apply for it. Maybe.
Well, that'd be fun. No, it's a good
Good
idea.
idea, happy city clerk?
Happiness isn't a requirement.
So something to think about, because I would love for that to actually happen, so I think if we could. Put that on the radar. Anyone else, stuff, things coming up?
Foundation meeting is 7 PM is virtual, where we're gonna debrief on the fun run, and then I believe 9:30 is the equity committee meeting at 6 PM. There's been some shifting of
Yeah,
dates,
yeah.
but I believe that's their first meeting that they're holding, and then they're gonna be shifting to their meetings. I think it's every.
It's on the front door.
Yeah.
I wish we all double check.
Yeah, it's on the front
Yeah.
door. It's on the front door. I got it on statistics.
Tuesday, but not
Or
this time
Thursday.
because it was Rosh Hashanah, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when is that, was there a plan for when that's gonna come back to the board?
I think they're still, based on the last meeting that I was in there, I know they were still kind of seeking some more input and around membership to give a different voice perspective on goal setting, and there was like two trains of thought that were closed during that time, so I think they haven't solidified that, yeah.
And that's the August meeting,
Yeah.
and we haven't met
Yeah.
since then.
So,
Okay,
Yeah, maybe December, like give them a few months.
yeah.
So I will follow up with the foundation. There's no link for a meeting, so I don't know. I need to clarify with them who's providing the link. I know.
Okay.
I'll let you know
I'll
tonight.
see if I have a link somewhere, maybe.
And then I guess the only other thing that had been there are 2 things, and part of it is that it's the equity committee, probably possibly related to equity committee, but we talk about the documents, right? Like they created those documents, so we reference them a lot. And I don't know how this works, and I'm not part of the equity committee, but the documents exist. and really, we're the only ones who use them. But we talk about.
Well,
And then it's starting to, right?
Right.
And that's great, but like, I think.
I think the PLCs are starting to use them too, right? Guiding Coalition.
And so just kind of clarifying passively, like, how are they being used and what is, like, those documents exist anyway.
Yeah.
So how do they, what is the board expectation around them? Not immediately, but maybe like just, you know,
for the equity committee, or, oh, okay, just for district.
So I mean, the question I asked Anna was like, is there a reason that if the equity committee ceased to exist, that documents would still be part of what we do? And the answer is no. So
Right.
then
No,
we
they've
need-
read
so
that,
then
they've read
we
that
need
work.
to frame, how are those documents expected to be used?
It was the equity
Okay.
committee. Doesn't, because that's on their,
Well,
is
so
it
that's-
on their bandwidth right now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
So
think that's,
They did the PD, but no, so you're wanting to like,
So I
have
guess,
that be a
yeah.
update or.
yeah, I guess I'm wondering is like, what is their, like, is that their charge moving their work forward as a committee? Cause their job is to delineate what their goal is, right? And bring that back to the board, talk about how they're moving towards that, right?
Yeah.
So.
like, bring back a proposal even, right?
Well,
I mean, that's their idea. is to
It is
make
their district,
recommendations.
their
Yeah.
district approved documents, so if
Yeah.
it's like you wanna know how are these district documents being used or utilized, I guess I'm trying to think about what that might be couched in terms of like our strategic plan or like how you would talk about it or something.
and certainly if that's their goal, then that's great, right? But if,
Right.
but
Right.
it seems like.
Regardless, we need to breathe more life into it, which I
Right.
think, I will say as district administrator, certainly understand that, looking for ways to embed that, looking for ways to
Right.
like tie that into, like you mentioned, the guiding coalition's work around commitments and things like that. And so, and applying that lens within the curriculum review, it's like all of those, like how do you start to move that into the organization so that it becomes practice, not just a document.
Right,
Yeah.
and really meaningful and well.
Yeah, well, the goal is for it to become like so embedded in the culture, it's just like. boop,
So
it's
this
like-
is the goal that we articulate.
Yeah.
But again, the documents have
Well,
been here for years,
Yeah.
and so clarity around how to do that would be
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I've been doodling about, Anna, since you have
Mm-hmm.
brought it up a few times, is I am curious what the financial breakdowns are with regards to what we pay Nicolay versus for like students going to programming there versus what Nicolay pays us for services or spaces that they utilize, like recreational spaces.
You wanna see the money trail?
Well, I guess I'm just curious, like these, like our taxpayers pay for both organizations.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering if the money flows in one direction and doesn't flow in the other.
So this might be something that could be an agenda. item.
Yeah, you're kind of, yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
down the, like in the
That's
next
it.
few months.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
not
It's
a, not a
not urgent,
hyper urgent, but
But
maybe
it's been something that
something.
I've been thinking about more
Yeah.
often, like,
I
let's
think
get
it's
clarity on
complicated
that.
because of the various functions, so
Right,
our
right.
function is different than a school day function, right? So like the way, like it's not a direct.
It's not tit for tat.
So I
Not tit
wonder,
for tat, so
but I wonder if this is, there's a larger, I mean, I think it's all very gray when we understand how money moves between
Yeah.
districts. So I wonder if this is something that might be an interesting,
Right.
either a workshop specifically, or an agenda item on a meeting where we specifically learn about the inter-district transfers, because it seems like there's a lot that goes on. And that would include shared
Absolutely.
contracts
Yeah,
with partner schools, and I think we could all use some learning around that.
I like the broader
Yeah, so maybe in like definitely after budget season, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maybe
I
during
do
the
think that would
winter.
make sense though.
Again,
So-
Yeah.
that's just, like,
No,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
no,
it's
it's a
good
great idea.
Building on it.
it's exciting,
Yeah.
these are the things I
Yeah.
think about in a meeting and then I forget.
No, that's why I'm saying this is like a great idea that is a great area of learning for us and of interest, and I like the idea of a workshop around it. I don't think you can have enough budget workshops, to be honest, because the system is so complicated,
And
right?
I feel like a lot of our shared agreements or like our transportation things, like when they come up, it's like, oh yeah, like, they come up once every blue moon. But it would be better to just keep, like, just to have those more often come into our ether. So that we remember, so that we start to, digest it.
Great question. Other things people are thinking about, reviewing interest?
Board workshop on policy review is next week, Wednesday on the first.
That's the 26th, right, to get your.
I have already reviewed the policies and created a spreadsheet.
Karen, you give me questions, what I will do is I'm gonna organize by policy in that spreadsheet, just the various questions that come, I will have that printed out as a document. I guess the wondering that I would have, I think that overview that gives like the snippet of why the policy has
Yeah,
changed, like having that printed in front of us.
I like
I
that.
don't know that I really wanna print out every single policy, but if
Right.
that's necessary, okay.
Save the trees.
Alright, so what I will do is, but I will have that one reference document there, so we can work through that as well as the questions that are listed around various ones.
And then-
Organized, is there anything else I can do to help with facilitating?
And then how will the wellness committee recommendations sit there? They're not in the Neola.
No, but I have the documentation from Kim, so I will bring
Okay.
that, and so there's, the wellness policy is tricky because there's like there's the policy that you see in our Neola docs, which was influenced by. Previous decisions that were made in previous administration, and then there's also like a blanket wellness policy that you're gonna see that has everything that the patient think in it, so I think we're gonna have to do some detailed work of taking the recommendation from that committee and trying to. For that, there's also been a ton of new updates around nutrition.
Right.
So we need to look at those pieces too.
I just have a question. Is there a spreadsheet we're supposed to be putting our questions on,
No,
or
no.
we're just emailing?
Just email me the
Okay.
questions and I'll put them in, so
Got
we're
it.
not engaged
Got
as
it.
a walking for.
Okay.
I'm just expressing infantile pride over having created a.
No, that's great.
great.
With my
comment.
Miss Shaw can tell me late.
Just one last motion to be made.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
I just look at your spreadsheet and if it's my trust for you, I'll probably just be like, oh yeah, those are my questions.
All right.
Just kidding.